Welcome everyone who is watching live. This is Alex and the lovely Katie in a GCSE Science lesson. So we're right in the middle of the lesson and this is live, so anything can happen, but we're just going to dive straight back into the work we were doing, which is the topic of electricity for today's lesson. So say hi to everyone, Katie.
Hi.
Hello. Great. So where were we, Katie? We were looking at electricity. And what we wanted to do was go through the homework that you had. So I can see on my list here it said that you had to read the notes that we made and also fill in the blanks. So can we start there, please? Can you show me the notes that we made and the blanks that you filled in, and we'll mark it together now as well. So it's just the 2 points at the bottom.
Yeah.
Great. Can you read that out to me? The first start says each resistor connected in parallel.
Each resistor is connected in parallel has the same potential difference as the battery or cell. This means that adding another resistor on another branch gives the current an extra direction to go in, and therefore the total current will increase. Because the total PD is fixed and V equals IR, a larger current means that the total resistance will decrease.
Perfect. So every word you've underlined there, you filled that in correctly for your homework, so you can give all of those a tick. Well done. And I'll draw a tick here as well on your list. 100%. Easy peasy. Well done. And then you did some practice questions from the workbook. So can you show me those as well, please? I'll get the workbook ready while you get yours out. So it's page 18 and 19. Oh, you marked them as well. Fantastic. So we don't need to go through every single question, but can you point to me the first question where you dropped some marks?
Well, this one.
Okay.
Yeah,
you scored all the marks before that, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic. But you didn't give yourself any mark for the question 3.
Yeah, I got a bit confused with the last bit, and then I wasn't sure if what I put was the relevant answers. So yeah.
Fine. So you're basically saying you're not sure how many marks that answer would score.
Yeah.
Fine. Well, I can help you with that. Let's have a look. So this is page 19. I will read your answer and then I will tell you. But well done for scoring 100% on all the other questions. That's very, very good. And yes, you're right. This question is a bit more tricky than the others. So the question is, explain why adding resistors in series increases the total resistance, whilst adding resistors in parallel decreases the total resistance. So let's have a look at your answer. So you started by talking about a series circuit, which is smart, and then I guess about halfway through you'll start talking about parallel circuits. So in a series circuit, I'm reading your answer now. In a series circuit, the sum of all individual resistors is the total resistance, correct? And adding resistors will increase the total resistance, correct? This is because in a series circuit, there's only one option for the current to choose. Yeah, I might have said path rather than option, but that's fine. So far, you've got the gist of it. This in turn means putting more resistors into the circuit slows or blocks current, as it only has one place to go and will therefore increase resistance. Yeah, that's fine so far. The only thing you didn't mention was the sharing of the potential difference across the...
I mentioned that later on, but I forgot to put it in the beginning.
Oh, you mentioned it later on for series circuits?
Yeah, because my answer was a bit jumbled about, so...
Fine. All right, I'll carry on reading then. So what we've got here is the next bit. So in a parallel circuit, there are more options branches for the current to go down, correct? Therefore, we'll have less resistors. Not sure about that bit. In a series circuit, current is the same at any point, but in parallel, it is shared between branches. In regards to PD, it's the same in a parallel circuit, but it's shared in a series circuit between the components. Yeah, you're right about being uncertain about how many marks that receives. You have scored some, don't worry. It's not, it's certainly not 0. Let's have a look. So there's for 1 or 2 marks, you have to say there's a brief explanation about the effect of adding resistors in series or parallel. Yeah, you've explained series, but you haven't actually explained why total resistance decreases in parallel.
Yeah.
Was when resistors are added in parallel circuits. I mean, so I think that means you can that answer is limited to 2 marks. Let me just have a look. In series, resistor share the potential difference in the power source. Yeah, I think you've said enough about the series circuits to make it worth 2 marks, but that's okay. Score yourself 2 out of 6, please, on that. And I did plan to do a recap with you on this particular point anyway today, because I know it's the hardest part of this particular topic of series and parallel circuits. So I can see it hasn't quite sunk in as it should. But the notes that you just made, sorry, they just showed me, and where you filled in the blanks, what you just read to me, that will help you with the next part of this lesson. So just remember that. But I would like you to try and do this from memory. I don't want you to look back at those notes. So have you got those notes covered up at the moment?
Yeah, they're on the other page.
Fantastic. Right. Let me do a screen share with you then. So I'm going to fire up good old eChalk, and I'll share my screen. Which screen shall I share? That one. Lovely. Bear with me while I move some windows around. Oh, there you go. So where are we going today? Physics. Right, I'll give you control in a second as well. When I get there, here we are. Just let's go to our good friend, the old circuit builder. There we are. Just loading up. So we're not going to dwell on the series circuits. We're just going to look at parallel circuits. So I'm going to give you control now so we can get super interactive with this lesson. So you should see something on your screen about taking control. You got that?
Yeah.
Click on simple parallel. Excellent. Do you know what? I totally lied. Click on the menu, please. You see the menu button at the bottom in red. That's it. Click on load preset. Thanks. Click on simple series on the left. Super duper. I'm going to get you to turn a series circuit into a parallel circuit. So at the moment we have 1 resistor connected to this circuit. Could you please just add a bulb in series with the resistor, please? Great. And just notice that the bulb has its own resistance. And because the resistor and the bulb are connected in series, could you tell me the total resistance for this circuit?
4 ohms.
It is 4 ohms. Good. Close the switch on the circuit, please. Fantastic. And can you also connect an ammeter to the circuit? There is fine. And spin it around. And 3 amps is correct, because you know the formula V equals IR. So to calculate the current, you do the potential difference divided by the resistance. So 12 divided by the total resistance of 4 gives you 3 amps. Are you familiar with all that?
Yeah.
You are allowed to say no at any point. You understand?
Yeah.
You do. Good. Fantastic. Open the switch then, because I'm pretty sure it might be dangerous to do rewiring while there's electricity running through this. So can you add another resistor and another bulb in parallel to the existing resistor and bulb, please?
Oh, need to wire it.
Yeah, it's fine. Just drop them in first, and then you can do the wiring. Can I just, oh yeah, go on, wire them up. That's it. Yep, good stuff. Let me grab the mouse a second, please. Just need to do something here. I need to, blink. There we go. I need to do this as well. Lovely jubbly. So I'm just looking back at your answer. So nowhere in your answer did you say what happens to the total resistance when adding resistors in parallel. I mean, it was mentioned in the question anyway, so it wasn't difficult, but you have to say that in this answer and then go on to give some explanation in order to score those extra marks. So I'm giving you the mouse back again. Turn off the wiring modes. And can you tell me what's happened to the total resistance of the circuit now that you've added another resistor in parallel?
It has decreased.
Well, you think it's decreased, and that would seem logical. We would have to prove that by closing the switch and having a look at the ammeter to see what the total current is. So the total current previously was what?
3 amps.
Okay, let's have a look then. So close the switch. What's the total current now?
6 amps.
6 amps. Oh my goodness, my mind is getting blown here. How is that possible? How can you add a resistor and have the total current of the circuit increase? Surely that doesn't make sense. Surely a resistor is a component which slows down the flow of charge. And if you've got a slower flow of charge, surely you have a smaller current. So can you explain how adding a resistor has actually increased the total currents?
Well, I'm not too sure, but it would be because the current has multiple branches to flow through, so not all the current will be flowing through the first resistor, or not all the current will be flowing through the second resistor, and it will be like split.
Very good. There is an extra path for the current to take, so you just need to talk about potential difference as well. So talk to me about the potential difference across the first branch and also across the second branch. What happens with potential difference in a parallel circuit?
Well, in a parallel circuit, the potential difference is the same at any point. So on the top branch, it would be 12 volts, and the bottom branch, it would still be 12 volts.
Perfect. Well done. That is exactly right. So what you've got is 12 volts of potential difference across the first branch and 12 volts of potential difference across the second branch. Can you show that by wiring it in just one voltmeter? So put a voltmeter right at the bottom of the screen across the second branch. Good. And turn on the wiring mode and wire it up. So can you go, yeah, wire it directly upwards. Good. But be careful, the other point, you need to go to the right of the bulb. So you need to get the potential difference for the whole branch. The whole branch is 2 devices. That's it. Good. And we see now that it's proved, the circuit builder has proved what you said. You've got a whole 12 volts of potential difference for the second branch, and we know it's the same for the top branch. So you also remember V equals IR. So the current is the voltage divided by the resistance. So you've got 12 divided by 4 on the second branch. You've also got 12 divided by 4 on the first branch. So you've got 3 amps of current on the second branch, 3 amps of current on the first branch. That's what gives you the 6 amps total current. Yeah. So you're correct. It's more paths for the current to flow, but you do also need to say that potential difference is the same on every branch, and mention that V equals IR as well to get all the marks. But you drew that circuit very nicely, and everything you said is correct and was proved when we actually switched the circuit on. which is fantastic. Sorry, a bit of a health and safety issue there. We did actually do some wiring while the electricity was flowing. Don't try it at home, kids. Okay, this is obviously not a real electrical circuit, so no one's been injured in this instance. But let's just open the circuit. Open the switch, Katie, and let's come back to your question and then just do a few more practice questions to finish off. That's it. Fantastic, that was good. I'm just going to stop the share. I'm going to come back to your question. To your answer, I mean.
Yep.
Because now we've been through it. Let me just check that I'm happy with the 2 out of 6. In a parallel circuit, there are more options, branches for the current to go down, therefore we'll have less resistors. I don't think you meant less resistors. I think if you just written there a decreased total resistance,
yeah,
you would more likely to get the mark. In a series circuit, current is the same at any point, but in parallel share between the branches. PD is the same in a parallel circuit, but it's shared. Yeah, you can't. You threw down some good points, but you didn't quite link all the points together. When it comes to these long answers, like 6-mark questions, they're looking for linking between your points. They're looking for like a flow of logic in your answer, which you didn't quite achieve. But the way you described it to me in that diagram, using the diagram was absolutely spot on. So if you wrote something similar, that would score you all 6 marks, or very close, 5 or 6 marks. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so for your homework, I'm going to write it down here. Could you just have another go at that question? So series and parallel circuits, and obviously I'll send you the photo of this as usual at the end of the lesson, series and parallel circuits. So what was that page number, please?
19.
So that's your exam practice workbook, page 19. Was it question 3?
Yes, it was.
So redo. Now you've had a bit more of a recap. Have another go at question 3. You might like to read your notes first.
Yeah.
But don't copy out of your notes. All right. Being able to reproduce the correct answer from memory is what's going to really help it sink in. Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Right. So I did say we should do some more practice questions. That would be beneficial for you. Could you turn over the page? Have you got some spare space on the other side? Great. Let's have a go at a few more practice questions then to do series and parallel circuits. Although I think that's too easy there. Yeah, I think based on what I've seen, I think you've got the series circuits down to a T. So you don't have this book, but here's a nice worksheet for you. Can you see that okay? Yeah. If we don't finish it today, I will put a copy of that in your shared folder so you can finish it off. So could you write your answers on the lines paper there? Can you see that clearly enough, or shall I read it to you? Question 5.
I think it's clear enough.
Okay. Read it out loud to me, please.
This circuit diagram shows a circuit containing 2 motors and a bulb. Say which of the following statements are true or false by circling the appropriate letter.
Fantastic. So all you need to write on your sheet is question 5 and then A, B, C, D, E, and then just write true or false for each one. Let's go through them together. So you can see the circuit diagram nice and clearly?
Yep.
So A, the lamp and the switch are connected in parallel. True or false?
The lamp and the switch. False.
Correct. Well done. So right, 5A, false. B, the electric current is the same everywhere in the circuit.
False.
Really?
Because in a parallel circuit, it's shared between the components.
Excellent. Not only did you say it's false, you actually gave the correct version of that statement. Well done. So that is correct. Right, false. C, read that to me, please.
The potential difference across each motor is the same. That's true.
Yes, well done. Okay.
If motor 1 has a higher resistance than motor 2, its current will be lower.
Mhm.
I think it's true.
It is true. Well done.
If the switch is open, current will still flow through motor 1. False.
Correct. I will ask you a cheeky follow-up question, though, to that one. Where could you place the switch? Well, let's say, where could you move the switch to? There's one switch in that diagram, yeah? You could move that switch to a different position such that if the switch was open, you could still have current flowing through motor 1. Could you tell me what that new position would be?
Oh, I'm not sure. Would it? I'm not really sure.
Really? Let me see if no, I can't on there. Let me just go crazy on here. Oh, no, I can't. Sorry, I was going to try and do something clever, but it's technically impossible right now. So that's fine. So this switch here, if it wasn't there, you've only really got two other choices. Like, for example, moving it here is not going to make any difference. Moving it here is not going to make any difference. The only two obvious choices is you place it on this branch of the parallel circuit or this branch of the parallel circuit. So now I've given you a 50-50 chance of having a good guess, but I'm sure you could work it out now, actually, based on that clue. So which position, first branch or the second branch, would allow you to open the switch and still have a current flowing through motor 1?
I'm going to say first branch.
Okay, let's have a look. You might be right, you might be wrong. So if we put a switch here, oh, well, I should show an open switch, shouldn't I? So if you put the switch there and open the switch, would that allow the current to flow through motor 1? Making you think.
Sure.
You're not sure? No. Well, let me remind you what a switch does. A switch completes or breaks a circuit. So a switch in this position is closed, therefore the circuit has been completed, therefore allowing current to flow.
Yeah.
That switch in that position shows as being open. When a switch is open, it's actually breaking the circuit, right? Therefore, current can't flow through the circuit or can't flow through that part of the circuit. Depends where the switch is.
Right.
Okay? Right? But at the moment, that switch is open. That means current cannot flow through that branch of the circuit. But with that switch closed, it can flow that way.
Yeah, so you'd have to put the switch onto branch 2 so that it would cancel out the motor 2 and then it would still flow through motor 1.
Correct. Well done. Just going to get a better rubber out of here. Now the rubber's being a bit fuzzy. So yeah, it would have to be here. Oops, totally broke my pencil. Now my pencil is spewing pencil leads. There we go. Yes. So that is the correct position. You would have to place a switch on the second branch in order to still have current flowing through motor 1 when the switch is open. So with that switch open, this second branch of the circuit has been broken, therefore you won't get a current flowing through motor 2. But that's the beauty of a parallel circuit, is that even if there's some kind of fault with one of the branches can still function. Or it doesn't have to be a fault. If you want separate control of separate components within the circuit, then you place each component in parallel with the others. Then you can have a switch on each one, and every component can be switched on and off individually from the others. That make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Right, let's get into some maths. So let's just check. So you've written down all the answers for question 5. Good. Write question 5 on the notes as well, please. Just it's question 5. Then moving on to question 6. Actually, there's not too much maths here. It's just understanding of circuits. So, can you read this to me? The diagram shows.
The diagram shows the circuit that powers two lights in a garage. In this circuit, ammeter A reads 10 amps and ammeter A2 reads 1 amp.
Let's just point out to you here. So you've got A1 is here. That's reading 10 amps. I'll write that on as well to make it a bit clearer for you. So you've got 10 amps there on ammeter 1. And then A2, where's A2? There it is. You've got 1 amp reading. I'll work out the readings for the other 2 ammeters. This is part A. So write down question 6. Answers then. Oh, well done. So A3, what would be the current flowing on this branch through ammeter 3?
Well, I think oh wait, the switch. Okay. It would. Wait, is this a parallel circuit?
It is a parallel circuit. Well, let's just go back to the facts that you already know.
Yep.
We're dealing with current.
Yep.
And we're dealing with a parallel circuit. So what can you tell me about current in a parallel circuit?
Current in a parallel circuit is shared.
Yes. Exactly. In a series circuit, it's the same everywhere, but in a parallel circuit, it is shared between the branches. So let's just go this way around the circuit. So out of the cell, clockwise through ammeter 1, got 10 amps. So does 10 amps represent the total current in the circuit, or does that represent part of the shared current?
I think it represents the total.
You are correct. Well done. It's the total current. It's before the current has reached any kind of junction.
Yeah.
So there's nowhere else for it to go. The whole current coming out of the cell hits ammeter 1. Therefore, 10 amps must be the total current in the circuit. But then we go down a little further, and we have this point here, and that point on the parallel circuit is called a what?
A junction.
It is a junction. So at the junction, you know that the current splits. Based on all that, which you already knew, but now you've been reminded of, based on all of that, can you now tell me what you think the reading will be on ammeter 3 down here?
I think it might be. Oh, no. I was going to say 9, but then we still got the other ammeter.
You're hesitating a lot.
Yeah.
But it is completely correct.
Oh, okay.
When you said other ammeter, which one exactly were you referring to?
A4.
Ah, fine. 9 amps is correct, because look carefully, there's a junction. If it's 10 amps in total, hitting a junction, which then gets split, if 1 amp so 1 amp goes this way, then the remainder must be going that way.
Yeah.
The remainder of 10 after you've taken away 1 is 9. So you were concerned about A4, but then look here, there's another junction there, right? Which means the 9 amps from this path and the 1 amp from this path are rejoining.
Yep.
Which means the reading on ammeter 4 is what?
10.
It is 10. Well done. So can you write in the answers there, please? Good work. Well done. So you felt like you were a little bit stuck on that question, I think, but then I reminded you of what you already knew.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to take a step back when you're tackling these questions. Often they are problem solving, but if you stop to think about what you already know, that could help you solve the problem.
Yeah.
Normally, I wouldn't give you a question unless you know the background information. I can't guarantee that'll always be the case, but I do try. So make sure you know your stuff before you tackle the questions. So let's just do, I think, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Katie. Like I said earlier, I'm going to make sure you've got a copy of this in your shared folder, and I'm going to ask you to do the questions circled in red. So I'm going to ask you to do question 6b for your homework. It says, describe how current flows around the circuit starting at the cell. Ignore voltmeters V1 and V2. And it's kind of what we just described, so I think it'll be too easy for you to answer it now. But yeah, so you just follow it around clockwise and describe at every point what happens to the current. So
yeah.
That way, how it hits the junction, what happens at the junction, what happens at the next junction, and so on. That's how you describe the current flowing around the circuit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So let's just do part C and D now, because they're only a couple of minutes. And then we've finished. So part C, why? Oh, hang on. No, I'll read the question first. Why is using this circuit more sensible than wiring the garage lights in series? So going back to the original question up here, it says the diagram shows the circuit that powers 2 lights in a garage. Obviously, the 2 lights are in parallel, and it's asking why is this parallel circuit more sensible than wiring the garage lights in series?
Yeah.
Are you able to have a think about that and tell me what you think?
Well, I think one reason it'll be more sensible is because at where you get to the first junction, on the first branch, there is also a switch. So you can use that to determine if that light can stay on or off, on its own. So you can split up the 2 lights, if that makes sense. So you can turn one on and one off. Yeah. And I also think that I'm not too sure. That's the first thing I thought of.
Okay. Do light bulbs last forever?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
No.
I think you jumped to the next question. Do light bulbs last forever? The answer is no, they don't. So at any point, a light bulb can stop working.
Yeah.
That's a clue. So what's another reason for it to be more sensible wired in parallel than in series?
If there is a fault in one of the branches or one bulb, it can be fixed easier if it's in a parallel circuit, because they're separated, whereas in series, because it's all in one connection, in one loop, it's harder to fix anything that we've broken in the circuit.
Yeah. Or so you're talking about a series circuit, right? You're talking about the disadvantages of a series circuit. So what you're saying is, in a series circuit, if one bulb fails, they're all going to fail, because one failed component means you've got a break in the circuit. and therefore no complete circuit, no flow of charge. Perfect. Okay, that's very good. I'm going to ask you to do that for homework as well, so you can think about it. And you gave 2 reasons, which is fantastic. So I'm actually going to write that here as well. Give 2 reasons, and finish off very easy. So you can write part D on your paper, Katie, and let's do this together now. Yeah, part D. So I'll read the question to you. So the potential difference of the cell is 1.5 volts. Write down the reading on each voltmeter, V1 and V2. At this point, I'm going to say nothing, and I'll let you write down the answer. Please don't say it out loud. All I will say is you do know what you need to know to answer this correctly.
Okay.
Do you understand the question? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So you write down what you think the answer is. Ah, you're done. Sorry, I was looking at your homework. Easy peasy. Well done. Can you explain why?
Because in a parallel circuit, potential difference is the same at any given point.
Yeah, it's the same across all branches.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well done. So everything that you've written down on your answer sheet there, can you give that a tick, please?
Yeah.
And then we've come to an end. Very, very good. So I will just, I think I'll end the live stream now, Katie, and then I'll just show you what your homework is. So well done.
Thank you.
We should just say bye, shouldn't we?
Bye.
Bye, everyone. And thanks for watching. See you again soon.